Welcome to Papa Junk Shop. Well, I had a viewer ask about these older type Magneto ignitions on these older engines, and wanted to go into a little more detail. So this is the one that we're going to use on the Model Y, and it's pretty old. I'll look it up and see what model it actually is, but this is the one that we're going to rob to put on this engine. And it has two-piece point set. One is screwed right in here, and the other's mounted on this big, now it's not really plastic, it's probably Bakelite. And somebody's already been in here, as you can see, because this isn't original, because it should be soldered on here, not underneath that screw. And of course the spark plug wire shot too, like they usually are. So we're going to get into this and get her tore apart, cleaned up, fixed up, and hopefully she's going to have some spark. My little book out, and they show, for these old cast iron engines, they show three types of magnetos: the type F, the type A, which is what we're working with here, and a type N. So those are the three kinds that they show for these older cast iron Briggses. I'm not sure how many of you guys might also watch Road King or Small Engine Mechanic, but I believe that they're getting ready to rewind a coil for this type of magneto. I'm not absolutely sure. I think I seen a video where they were making a jig so they could put it on their homemade coil winder to rewind one of these. So might be worth looking into if that's of interest to you. Okay, let's get started on her. I think first thing I'm going to do is get this old spark plug wire out of there. Now they got kind of a insulating piece underneath there, and it kind of wraps up around the spark plug wire, and then they pour it full of some kind of tarry waxy stuff, and we're going to dig that out of there carefully. Now you got to be real careful. There's really fine wire underneath here, and it's very easily damaged. And this wire is also very easy to pull off of there, and then you've ruined your coil. And these are kind of scarce, so you want to be gentle with them. Now they soldered the spark plug wires on these. And a lot of the new stuff, of course, is all molded in plastic, and of course you can't fix them. They're either good or they're bad. There's any in between. But the newer type, what was it, N, I think? I don't believe the wire is soldered on those. They just wrap it on there, because they don't want you soldering on that really fine wire and having the heat carry back in and ruin the connection. Now, sometimes this stuff just crunches apart and you can't save it. You know, do your best. I think you can't really get that unwrapped enough to get in there, so I'm just going to cut this spark plug wire off here carefully. Okay. Then on the back side, they got it underneath there, and then should be able to pull this out of there. There. So we're going to save this end. Yeah, you can't see that, can you? Yeah, I better back this off a little. I thought I'd try to keep it so you guys can see up close, but I can see I'm not staying in frame. So we're going to save this end, get soldered on. So clean that up with a wire brush a little bit, heat it up with a soldering iron, pull it off and save it for the new wire. Okay, so next I think I'm going to get the capacitor out of there. Oh, my camera's just not cooperating. It decided to keel over, didn't it? Tapers. Guess I better tighten the brackets up. Oh well, you guys know there's never a dull moment when I'm doing something. Anyways, the only thing you missed was me taking a screw out of this capacitor. I'm going to do the same with that. I'm just going to clip it off of there for now. It's more than likely it's not good. Okay, next, this wire is soldered on. So we're gonna unsolder that. Now I'm not sure what's going on here. Whether somebody's damaged that and added a piece on or what. But I think we should explore that maybe right now. Be very careful back here. And I hope I don't show you how not to do it. I think they got petrified masking tape on here. By putting it on there long ways, I think they actually made it easier for me to get it off. Still got stickum on it. There, now she's wrapped. Can't find the end. Alright, I'm going to go get an X-Acto knife. I'll be right back. Alright, well, it looks like somebody did a repair there. We'll probably get some heat shrink and put on it, and not sure, that should be soldered. Just you got it twisted enough, it might be alright, but I think we'll solder it before we're done. Okay, so we got that, so we can get these points out of there now. Of course, normally you wouldn't have to go through all this, but because we're going to switch it over to that other engine, we're going to tear this one completely apart. So this is half of the point assembly. And you can see where they put this capacitor wire underneath that screw, which winds up being the same thing as being soldered on there, but if it's soldered on, you're sure of the connection. So I don't know if you can see or not, the points are pretty cruddy, really cruddy. So we'll get those cleaned up a little bit later. And now we can get this coil off of here. There's 2 screws and some locating pins. Okay, we got one pin here that doesn't want to cooperate. Okay, so there's our coil assembly. Here's that piece on the back side, that extra insulation that goes around this. Kind of fold that out of the way. Now you can see where that, well, maybe you can see it, where the spark plug wire is attached. So we'll get the rest of that out of there. And they didn't have this one soldered very well. Matter of fact, I don't think it's stuck on the coil at all. Get some more of that goo out of there. Okay, and right there's the tab where the spark plug wire will attach. So we'll just have to get this cleaned up, that wire repaired. Now the other part of the points is right here, and they are screwed in, and I think it's 1/4 inch, I think. That's where these little ignition wrenches come in handy. Okay, let's see. Well, is that 1/4? Yeah, seems a little big. Yeah, that fits better. That's 15/64. Don't use that one very often, do you? So what they have, there's a lock nut right here. You get that unlocked, and you can just screw the point right out. that's how you adjust the gap on the points also. So that's the other contact. You can say that one's ready too. So we won't be using this. Oh, there is this plunger is what actually works the points open and closed. This one's nice and gooey in there. Our other engine already has one in it, so we won't use this one, but I thought I'd pull it out of there to show you. Wow, really not cooperating. Different pair of pliers. This would have to be cleaned up, and it's just like Bakelite stuff, and it goes in here, and the crankshaft, do I have one here? Yes. The crankshaft has a spot right here, which is actually a little dip. It's like a cam. And when the crankshaft's in place, I don't know if that's going to go back in. Yeah, it went back in. But when it comes to that, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but that's what works in points up and down. So we won't be using any of this, but we're going to be using those parts on our other engine. Now these points, what I'll usually do is I'll find a nice flat surface and get some sandpaper, and I'll just work it on the sandpaper until I get it nice and clean. You can see just that little bit's already helped it quite a bit, but I got to get this all cleaned up because it's all greasy and oily. And the same with this coil, it's all grungy, so we're going to get that cleaned up, and I'll get some heat shrink on this, and we'll get this is all greasy and gunky too. We'll get that cleaned up and get them all shined up, and then we can assemble it on the engine. So I'm going to go ahead and get this stuff taken care of, and then we'll get back to it. Okay, I think I got everything done that needs done before we reassemble this. Hopefully you guys are going to be able to see this. I'm not very good at this, but I got a piece of heat shrink on there. So all I had was clear that was the right size, so that's all set to go. Got the end off the spark plug wire. Points are cleaned, both sides. And the capacitor that was in there checked good, so we're going to use her over again. Got the spark plug wire ready. So I think we're ready to go. I'm going to take the points out that are in here. Oh, they're already loose. And I'll screw them back on that other back plate just to keep track of them. And let's see, we'll get the lock washer off of there for this one. So we'll just screw that down in there a ways. Okay, now this is the plunger. I thought I had this one already taken care of, but maybe I didn't. Maybe I just thought I did. Now the bottom part of it looks lubricated, but the top part doesn't, so I'm just going to wipe it off a little bit here. And we'll just put just a touch of oil on there. You don't want to get much on there because you don't want it transferring to the points and making them burn, but you do want a little bit of lubrication. So this little spot in the middle would be a good, I think, a good choice for putting a little bit in there. Oh, it still seems kind of stiff. Set this back up. Well, I'm still not happy with that. It seems a little bit tight yet, so I'm going to pull it out of there. And I'm going to wipe it off. And I'm going to take some 400 grit sandpaper. Oh, I lost it in my cloth here somewhere. Take some 400 grit sandpaper and just by hand just dress it down just a little bit. These do sometimes swell up, so let me get that done and I'll be back. Okay, didn't take much. Just took a little bit of the tarnish off. Now she goes up and down nice in there. Okay, so I think probably next we'll get this coil mounted back on there. Now there's 4 locating pins. It goes here, 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 and here. So you just drop those in place. Got 2 screws. Oops. Wrong screwdriver. Snug her down pretty good. Okay. And then probably the next thing is this spark plug wire. Now there's a hole through that piece of insulation. And this spark plug wire is a lot skinnier, so it's going to go through that hole a lot easier than the original one did. Through the back plate. And then there's a hole in this loop. And we're gonna, I made that about, well, probably a good inch long. Strip that back. And we're gonna put that in that loop. I don't know, I hope you guys can see that. And I got it through the loop. And then we're just going to wrap it around. I was hoping that would stay twisted together. But it didn't. And wrap it around and fold it over. I'm not going to solder it because I don't want to take a chance on damaging that. They don't solder the newer ones. And then this stuff here you can just fold back around so it's out of the way. And then this wire will drop into this little tab to pinch it in place, which I'm going to do right now because while we're working on this we don't want to tug on that wire and pull it off of that coil. So now this wire's a little skinnier than the other one, so yeah, a little more maybe. There. Okay, next. Now the points, this bolt is still loose because you've got a little leeway here to move it back and forth, and that's so you can get it lined right up over top of those I don't know what you call it, stationary point. So this takes the two screws and a little metal support piece, and we're going to go just like so, and then this is a springy, so I always just keep a little pressure down when I tighten it down. That way you're sure you got enough springiness. And you got to remember that this is well, it's not plastic, Bakelite, I guess. Probably is, not sure. And now we can work this back and forth until it's right over, the points are lined right up. Okay, now I can go ahead and tighten this up. Okay, now next we got the wire. Which we'll put right back there. And there's a little tab where it's going to solder in place. It's got solder on it already, so it's a little stiff. Okay. Now we got our capacitor. This wire doesn't have to be that long, so let's shorten that up a tad. I'm going to strip it. Oh, it's tough. Yeah, we got an X-Acto knife here. Let's use that. There we go. Now I can get that down there, and we're going to put that right underneath that same spot. In with that coil wire. Okay, now we're going to solder them both in place. Okay, and everything should be out of the way. So I think we're all back together. Now we got to get the points set. And these are 20 thousandths, just like all the Briggses. And someplace on this bench there's a set of feeler gauges. There we go. And right there's the 20. You want to make sure you wipe them off so that you don't have any oil on them, because you don't want to get oil on your points, because that will make them burn. So now we got to make sure that the points are in the open position, which they are. Now these are a real pain in the butt. That's not my favorite ignition to adjust points. So you got to screw this movable point up. Yeah, looks like we might be getting close. Boy, I think we better leave that right alone. So now got to hold that and still and tighten this nut down, and that'll lock it in place. We'll take a chance to see if it's going to stay there. Nope, just seen it move just a whisker. Yeah, see what I mean? You're a real pain. I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a pair of pliers in there. Hold that. Oh my. I don't know if you guys can see or not, but hopefully you can. Okay. Now we'll check her once more. Close enough. So now what I like to do before I go to all the trouble to try turning things over is the points are open, and I'll clip a wire on where the capacitor and the coil joins, and I got a little battery, and I will, I don't know if you guys, yeah, you should be able to see it. I'm just going to touch this on there. We got good spark. So, as long as the points are making connection and the magnets are alright in the flywheel, it should be good to go. So, flywheel. And these Model Ys have a bolt that goes through the flywheel, and I don't have it ready. So let me turn the camera off for a minute and find it. Okay, found the bolt, got it cleaned up, just got it stuck partially in there. So like I say, if everything went right, we should have spark. Let's see, you guys aren't going to be able to see that area there. Let me tip it up a little bit. There we go. You see it? You hear it? Well, if I get it in the right spot. Alright, so we were successful. So that's pretty much all there is to doing this particular one. This one's a little bit harder than most because of the situation with those points and stuff. So this engine should be ready to finish reassembling. So if you learned something from this one, I guess, and enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up. And I'm not an expert on Magnetos. I'm just by the seat of my pants. I've learned this stuff, so hopefully I helped some people out. And please subscribe. We'll see you next time. Hopefully we'll have this running and one other one running.